if you're able to grasp this now as a young player, you will be ahead. And my goal is for me to push you to be better than what I ever was, right?
You are now tuned in to the Project 365 experience.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Project 365 experience. I am your host, Coach O. And this week, if you are a young athlete, you're really going to love this episode today. You're really going to enjoy it. So if you haven't already, hit the link, subscribe. We do the podcast every week, so you guys get something new every Monday. Also try to give you guys a bit of visual, but we're everywhere. We're on TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, the works. We're on everything. So please make sure you give a follow. Okay. For today's subject, you guys are really gonna love this one. I am going to talk about the biggest mistake I did as a player. So the biggest mistake that I did as a player, and till this day, I still wonder how things would be different if I had done it and differently, was I always thought that I did enough. So my biggest mistake was getting satisfied. When I mean getting satisfied, like, the feeling of like you really want to make the team, so you push yourself in every way to be able to make this team. But then after when you make the team, you kind of relax a little bit. You're in a situation where like, okay, I made it. Okay. The drive is not there as much or whatever, right? So um as a player, I struggled to find ways to stay motivated to keep pushing, keep bettering myself. And this might be something that some of you guys might be experiencing, but for me, it was just about not really knowing what I wanted to do. And the older I got, when I was done playing, the more I understood that, hey, setting goals are like super important. You got to be able to set goals for yourself. Um, because with goals, you're kind of allowed to be able to push yourself in a specific direction that you're trying to get to. And you can kind of build steps for you to be able to reach where you want to reach. I think for me, it was really about, so a bit about my playing experience. So I always had tryouts and I always like didn't make the tryouts. And looking back on my career, I realized that when I didn't make the teams or when I would get cut, that's when I would get motivated because my goal was to make the team, right? So I would push myself, I would get better, I would notice that I would be here, keep pushing, and then I would make the team. And then after it's like, okay, I made the team. Well, yeah, I really want to win, but like part of being on a team is that how much you push yourself individually affects the team, right? So if I just think I'm on the team and I'm just there for the ride, then I'm not actually pushing myself, right? I have to have personal goals that help the team get to its common goal. And sometimes that's something that's hard for people to kind of understand, especially when you're young, because you kind of go with the flow. But if you're able to grasp this now as a young player, you will be ahead. And my goal is for me to push you to be better than what I ever was, right? So let's think about it. If I'm an elite athlete, right? The way that elite athletes, from what I'm seeing and from talking to a lot of people tend to get ready for the big event. So in sports, it's the games. A lot of people tend to get ready for the games. But the elite athletes approach their practices like their games. And my coaches used to always tell me that, but I never really understood. And I'm going to go into a way that hopefully could help you see things better. If you approach your game like you're like, okay, this practice, this is my game, right? Especially for a lot of people who don't play the minutes that they want to play or don't have the role that they want to have on the team, right? If you approach the practices as your game, you're giving your coach a chance to see you differently. Okay, you have a way to show what you eventually should show, that version of yourself that you want to keep pushing, that you want to get to. in an environment that is less pressured. Okay. So if you're somebody who shoots threes, in practices, you have to shoot threes. You have to make them effectively. You have to shoot threes. Okay. If you're somebody that can dribble, spin around, jump shot, you got to show in the practices that you can spin around jump shots. A lot of players will wait for the games and then in the games just show something. But then on the sideline, your coach now starts seeing, like, hey, I've never seen him do that before. So that's why a lot of times you're like, man, I know I could do this, but your coach hasn't seen you repetitively do it. That's the key, right? If he sees that you're somebody that can do the skill that you say that you can do, you got to be able to show it in practice. And then in the practices, your coach will allow you to do it in games. And depending on the system, but you guys get my point. So I think part of it is that, like, you have to be able to treat the game like treat the practice like it's the game. So how do you get better at the skill that you're talking about? You have to take outside of practice, right? Your workouts, on your free time. You actually have to put in more time, which is what I never did. I would always come to practice and just think it was enough. I want to be a better shooter. I want to shoot threes. I want to do this. But I always just came to practices and thought it was enough. So think about this. If a team practice is 2 hours long, right? Maybe in that practice, maybe you'll get, if your coach puts in a shooting drill, maybe you'll get 25, 30 shots, right? That you're going to take, maybe 25, 30. And even in the team practices, like, these are things that, like, the team has to work on, right? So you're not even working on expanding your game. You're actually working on whatever the coach needs for the game, to preparation for the game, right? So in practice, so then that's 2 hours, right? So we go with our team. With my players, we're able to take about 150 makes in like about an hour, right? So if you make 150 makes, 2 hours, you make 300 makes, right? So what happens when you make 300 makes? You naturally just get better. And I think, like, that's what we all have to be able to look at, is you will never get better at skill if you don't rep it out enough. But if you wait for the practices, you're never going to get the reps that you actually need for you to be able to get better. So all the free time that you have, if you want to have a chance to gain your coach's trust and move it forward, you got to be able to push outside of the game, outside of the practices, right? That's something that I wish I would have done, And also being elite is it's an approach. It's your mindset to the game. It's how you dictate it. I'm willing to talk to anybody who has any struggle, who wants any tips, who wants any help. I am down. I am available. Hit me up on all socials, at Coach365. Hopefully this episode helps some of you guys out. This is Coach O signing off. Catch y'all in the next video, and stay in the gym. I'm watching you.